Hello, I am Dr. Palak. I am an obs-gynae working in Jabalpur currently. The reason why I started this channel was because there were certain stories which I wanted to put out there, which have taught me a lot. But I could never gather the courage to speak out or talk about them. I'm not sure if my content will be appreciated or I will just go unnoticed. But this is just my way of trying to be someone and trying to put out certain stories which I have come across ever since I've started my journey as an obs-gynae. After a lot of thought process, I am getting myself to begin with this channel and my series of short stories about the people I've come across, about the things I've learned, and I would really appreciate if you could take out some time out of your schedule to just listen to these stories and let me know if you like them. So my first story is about a disease called neurofibromatosis. So before I begin with the story or how I came across that patient, let me first tell you what neurofibromatosis really is. So for your reference, there'll be a picture out there. Neurofibromatosis is not a single medical disorder. It refers to 3 different conditions involving development of tumors that may affect the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves that send signals between the brain and the spinal cord and all over the body parts. Most of the tumors are non-cancerous, although some may eventually become cancerous. These conditions are neurofibromatosis type 1, neurofibromatosis type 2, schwannomatosis. So now that we know what neurofibromatosis is, let me start with the story. It was only 10 days past my joining and I was already giving up on everything I was so lucky to have achieved. I was constantly thinking about quitting the seat and so that day when I was going to go on my duty, I had made up my mind that today I will assess myself. If this does not work for me, then I will call up my parents and let them know that it's not working out for me and I will quit. And something changed. A pathway to my labor room, and we had to go upstairs and downstairs and we had to be running around all the time 24/7 because there were the emergency opening, and basically this was the time when there was COVID, so all suited up. And I was very confused when I walked into the labor room, and I had done my internship in my obs-gynae. I did not like it then, and after that, after my marriage, I had actually joined a particular college back in Delhi also, in which I was there for about 3 months. I served in the obs-gynae department. It was okay, but then it was not something that would excite me or make me happy every day. But I think that was because I was doing all the paperwork back then. I was not really, I don't know why. So that day, when I walked into the labor room, I saw that was very new for me. Before her, I had only read about that disease and probably only for the exam. I had no exposure to what it could look like or feel like, or this was the first experience. I walked up into the labor room and I was shocked. This was the first 10 days of my residency and this was the patient I had to deliver, and there was nobody else. It was just her and it was me. So she went on to tell me what this disease was in front of that patient, and the patient seemed quite interested in herself, and then she kept on correcting us, our informations, the signs, the symptoms, the different things, the tests that she'd gone through, her entire legacy, the people who in her family have already had this. And then after the entire situation, the labor room was quite calm. I asked her if this was her first child, and she told me no, this was her second pregnancy and she was going on to deliver her second child. I thought, oh my God, I kept talking about my own life. I kept cribbing about my own life. But look at her. She's in so much pain. She's got this kind of body. She's got this kind of disorder, which she was shifted back into the ward, and there were so many COVID patients around. I barely had any time. I still couldn't get myself to make a decision as to if I wanted to continue with this residency or I wanted to quit and go back home. I couldn't understand what I could do, but I was just giving myself 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, to come to a final decision. A day had passed and I had not visited this patient, and then during the evening rounds, my senior called me up and have you gone to see the patient or the child you had delivered yesterday? I said, no, I'm sorry. She was quite upset with me. She said, I think you understand this, that you've delivered that child. This was probably one of your first deliveries during your residency and you must go and visit her. I said, okay, I will. I felt numb. I felt like I did not know what to say next. And before I could understand where I was standing, what I was doing, if what I was doing was right or wrong, she went down to say, I'm so lucky that God has blessed me with such a beautiful life, and not just having a beautiful life, also being able to make a beautiful life come into this world. And I stood there in shock that I had everything to be proud of, yet I was standing there cribbing all this time about the one thing that I had wanted and I did not get. And on the other hand, there she was, just thanking God for every moment that she's alive. So I smiled back at her. I congratulated her on a very healthy child, and I counseled her regarding the neurofibromatosis, which she already knew. And I said her goodbye. She wore her mask very beautifully, and then she was discharged the next day. And I continued being an ops gynae. This was the first story, this was the first day that actually helped me decide if I wanted to stay back there in that college, if I wanted to continue my journey. And this was just the beginning of the kind of stories I was going to come across, the kind of teachings, the kind of love, the kind of respect I was going to get, the kind of emotions I was going to experience all throughout those years. And I'm thrilled to share these stories with you. I hope you liked it, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. They're going to be even better, and some of them are about my teachers who've been brilliant. So I hope to see you soon.